Leading Schools in Disruptive Times. Chapter 1. Different events in history have caused disruptions in our schools, and we need to be aware that they are coming at a faster rate than we have ever experienced before. This is known as the hyper-change wave. Since my school is in a small rural community, change doesn't happen quite as often as in other places in the country because the population is economically disadvantaged and most parents are rooted in Hispanic conservative methods in child rearing. Chapter 2. Due to these disruptions in our schools, we need local global leaders, which must adapt to the changes occurring all around us in the present while still holding on to our traditional role. We need to be proactive and anticipate for what is to come. Even though my school has not experienced much change due to the homogenous population, leaders have an advantage in creating action plans based on what's already happened in our country, knowing that it could potentially happen to us at any time. The Saber-Tooth Curriculum, Chapter 1. The professor represents teaching in a more traditional method. This is it and that's it. Raymond, the professor's former student, represents the newer educators who say, well, it can also be this way. There is no cookie-cutter educational model. We need to change our teaching styles to accommodate today's learners. I have taught second grade for the past 4 years. The standards have been the same, but each group has been different. What worked with one group might not have worked with another. Chapter 2. The first teacher, New Fist Hammer Maker, began an educational system with the purpose for teaching survival skills in school. A disruption came along, and the need for change in education was inevitable. New creations were innovated to adapt to the new lifestyle they were living, but were not included in the curriculum for education. Our students live in a technology-filled world. As educators in my school, we are not able to provide them with updated devices due to the lack of administrative support in this area, which will be changing soon. Chapter 3. This is when Mr. Pettywill explains the beginning of the progressive movement in education, which indicates having the students decide what they want to learn and how they want to learn it. This is the idea in which teachers act as a facilitator to guide students to think that they came up with the idea themselves. It's holding students accountable for their own learning. Since I teach children, they require a lot of modeling and guidance to be able to fully experience this type of learning. Rules need to be established and procedures need to be practiced in order for them to be successful. Chapter 4. This is where a professor hit his head on a rock while walking along the creek. He seems to have had a bit of memory loss because he begins to ask many of his colleagues many questions such as, then in order to determine what our university curriculum should be, we must first decide what our society should be. I realized that if we want to teach our students to be successful tomorrow, we need to know what tomorrow will bring and teach it to them today.